show you how.
It's not like one scene. You know, they can't all fit in one scene. There's no one point where all this stuff is. So you get like all these things. I did it in the computer, just put things together that I wanted to do, and then figured out roughly where they would be, and then drew them, you know, sketched them in paint on here. And one of the first things we could look at is the halls, which this is now the Lions Club. But Kalevala Hall, which was started by the Temperance Society in, David, the late 1800s. I wrote it on here. I'm helping myself.
1895.
Yes, yeah, 1895. So, yeah, I love inscriptions. So the person can, you know, because this is all about real stuff. So you want the person to be able to see what they're looking at. The Temperance Society started it because, you know, I mean, there was a lot of anti-alcohol sentiment, and here with loggers and fishermen, there were, you know, a lot of people turning to alcohol just for entertainment with nothing much else in their lives. So it was an alternative. It was, you know, they put a library in here, they put on plays, they had events, they even had a lodging house. So that was the beginning of it. And then the Kalevala Sisterhood and Brotherhood bought the building from them just as Prohibition was starting, and maybe they thought their work was done. You know, and so yeah, so the Kalevala Brotherhood and Sisterhood, they're devoted to keeping Finnish culture alive in America, and David, maybe around the world, but at least certainly here, keeping that Finnish, you know, ways alive. Yeah, and you guys, everybody has to get this. You have to read this. It is the coolest book. Sylvia, you had a hand in this.
Yeah, we did.
Both of you. And it's awesome because, so what happened was they were very, like many Finns, they were very community oriented, like do good for the community. Let's do this together. We can, you know, we put our labor together, we can do a lot. And when the Soviet Union took shape and, like, you know, the Tsarist period ended, there were a lot of Finns who were inspired and went over there to try to be part of this communist project. And Arvid's brother, what was the brother?
Enoch.
Yeah, Enoch. He's the one who went. Yeah, so he went to Russia to be part of it. Arvid stayed here and continued to work on community things. He was a reporter. He had to keep doing wallpaper and carpentry and stuff to pay the bills, but he was a reporter for Finnish language newspapers. Enoch went over and they wrote letters. And the brilliant thing that Arvid did was he copied his own letters and then kept a copy, sent a copy. And so the brother would write back. And so you have the whole conversation, you don't just have half. And now that happens with email, you know, everybody has the whole conversation, but then it wasn't as common. And so this book could be written based on that. And he, so it's so like iconic in a way because Enoch ended up, he stopped writing, you know, they didn't know what happened, and correct me, both you guys, if I get any of this wrong, but they didn't know for a long time until there was a little information coming out in the 90s, I think, and they found he had been killed. And then later they got more information that he was murdered in a Stalinist purge. And so they're iconic in the sense that with these common ideals, they both have these, I think, laudable, wonderful ideals. And they both met quite different fates, but they deserve to be on the board. And this is for sale at the Historical Society in the library. I just have a window because it's when you're all hot and steamy, it's nice to look out on nature. So I put a window. And this man is Paul Nyland, who was gonna maybe be here unless he had to drive the senior bus. He's a local guy who posed, who is one of the descendants, and he moved away, but his father died or something. His mom was on her own, and so he came back, and his mom was Finnish and spoke only Finnish in the home. So he's an adult living with her, but continued speaking Finnish, you know, throughout her life. So it really was strong with him. And every Christmas, he did this last Christmas at the Lutheran Church, which is over there. He sings Silent Night in Finnish at the midnight ceremony at the church. access and has a chimney on the outside rather than the, what do they call the kind that get all smoky inside? Yeah, it's not one of those.
I was at an event where there was a picture of this.
Yeah.
And this is kind of fun because there was a woman standing next to me and she said, you know, this is my grandmother. Yes. Right at.
Yes.
And they look that
Wow.
much exactly like the people.
Yes. This is Sylvia right there. And Eddie Minkinen, right?
That's amazing. That's a few years ago.
Yeah.
Cute little overalls.
Yes.
Do you remember wearing those overalls?
No.
No. You were that little?
Yeah, my mother made
Yes. And the Sointua commune, which means place of harmony, right? This is the place that they bought the four families pooling their money